Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Higgs, and it's a Thursday, which means I have our guys, Chirimbes and Doug Upstone from Doc Sports with us. Be sure to check out the gamblersworld.net website. That who is powering the Winner Circle Podcast Daily. And we want to get up. Listen, there's the scroll coming. I was like, you know what? I got some power now. I could scroll out. And wow. I was going to say, you know what? We got to get to, there's our Twitters, of course. But really, 14,000 subscribers, I want to get to 15 by the end of the year. It would be really cool if we get there by September, because then it would be like, wow, look at that. Jim, I'm doing a good job. People haven't left since I'm here. We actually got some new people, so that'd be good. But, yeah, get us there. And it is slow time. It's slow time. We have the All-Star break. It's whatever, soccer, WNBA, CFL, but let's be honest. Nobody dives into those kind of sports head first and does a lot of shows and all that. And baseball, we'll do free pick tomorrow. Chip, you'll be with me. We're doing some baseball, me, you, and Matt Fargo. But we're going to be talking some college football today. Apparently, they had some conference realignments went forward and stuff like that. So we're going to touch a couple of those. I have a win total pick. I think Doug's going to have a conference division, whatever they're called now, these things. And Chipper will be chippering up. I know we're going to get a fact of the day, but let's introduce everybody. No, that's all right. That's fine. Listen, that's what this – you got to look a little bit ahead of time, right? Because it's, we'll be here in a minute. Next thing you know, it's August 29th or 24th, and we have college football week 0. I don't know. It should be week 1. And why isn't it week 1? I don't understand that. So, if there's games lined up, they should be considered a week. But you got to kind of dive in a little bit and start looking, whether it's college or even NFL. I mean, they got the preseason lines up for the Eagles and Ravens. I saw that a 10 and a 50. I know the Ravens are a NFL preseason machine, but you're going to give me 10 points and a 50 total in college football, or excuse me, in preseason football? I'm going to be taking a double-digit dog in and under. You got to be out of mind. Anyway, Doug, our guy from Doc Sports, find Doug always at Doc. But he is here with us, as always, on Mondays and Thursdays. How was your holiday weekend? We had a little trip there. It's good a little break to get away for a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, just, most people work 5 days a week, right? Okay. So so be able to just take a few days and do something else that was fun and eventful. So that's always good, Sean. And unfortunately, you've had an eventful couple of weeks, but in a different way. Okay. So it's great to be back in the saddle here again. I got the second half of the baseball season coming up, ended well on the first half. I know both of you guys did well in baseball to close out the first half as well. And we just start looking ahead to college football and lots of thoughts about a variety of topics that we're going to discuss here. And just starting to get some things going. So here we go. I'm excited. Let's go. Let's make it happen.
And before we get to Chipper, I hope he has a fact of the day for us. I don't know. He didn't say anyone beforehand, but we'll see. We'll see. But we have, listen, it is the second half of baseball. $4.99 at gamblersworld.net. Go get it. Every pick through the World Series. And that'll be what? That's a half a month of July, 2 full months of August, September, and playoff baseball. Go get it at gamblersworld.net. So, Chipper, what do you got from us? How you been?
It's been great. I mean, a little rest here is, rest was great for us because we do this every single day, especially 24/7 on the internet with our websites. To get 3-4 days off is it's refreshing. And we had a great first half, and I can't wait for the football to start and the rest of the baseball, where we've been making a lot of money this season.
And listen, with football coming, listen, people, 3, 7, and 38 packages all guaranteed. So you buy those, and then watch this. Boom! Look at the controller. I can do the little packages. If we don't show profit, you get credited back. And let's be honest. We're going to show profit. I don't care. Barring some – if we're not showing profits because everybody's getting destroyed, it rarely happens that everybody's going to have a losing weekend. We're pretty much – we go about our bets and processes a different way, but – you're not really going to get losing weekends on a college or NFL Saturday, Sunday from us. But let's talk about some college football here. Now, we got the crazy realignments. We have a Pac-2. We have a Big Ten. It's really a Big 18, a 17-team ACC with Cal and Stanford, Texas, Oklahoma moving to the SEC. I think that's bad for those guys. We're going to find out. And, I was looking earlier. I was talking about now North Carolina possibly going to the Big Ten. They really don't want Florida State and Clemson because they're like egotistical maniacs over there. And the SEC didn't want Florida State. They said it's a bad fit. I'm guessing that's because they don't want them in Florida in the same area, taken away from the regional look. But I don't know. I'm not a super conference fan. I'm old enough to remember the Big 8. I mean, it is now a Big 16, although it's still called the Big 12. I don't like. No, I can live with nil. I can live with giving the guys some money because back in the day you couldn't put cream cheese on a bagel. It was a recruiting violation. Now, I mean, that's as a fat guy, that's just wrong. Who wants to eat a plain bagel? That's no fun in that. I mean, cream cheese is a recruiting violation, people. So I'm all for letting the guys get paid. They should get something. They're taking abuse and they can't work. My son plays high school football. It's tough for him to work on the weekend. How are these college kids doing it? The super conference, though, just say no. As much as these kids are getting millions, the conferences are getting billions, and it's just a destructional path. Like, why? This is like the NCAA tournament and the NIT. You have a couple of huge conferences. All these other ones are fighting for the bottom. They'll never get a free shot. I don't care. We'll expand the playoffs. Well, that's great. We're going to get 5 teams from the SEC or 6 teams from there, 4 teams from the Big 10, 3 from the ACC, and a wild card, or maybe like 1 from the Big 12 because they hate the Big 12. I don't like it. I'm not a super conference fan. You can't have everybody all together. It's no fun in that. Because now when teams play, right? Michigan loses to Ohio State loses to Penn State. Oregon is now in here. It's no biggie. We don't have to win a championship game. We can sit guys out and rest a little bit because we have a playoff game to come up to win. How is that going to work out? Guys set out bowl games. Now they're going to – so you darn well know they're not going to play championship games if they got to play 2 playoff games or 3 playoff games, right? How does that work? I don't know. Chipper, I'll let you lead off.
Well, leave it to educators to have 19 teams in the Big 12. Or, you have the Atlantic Coast Conference has Stanford and California, who are on the Pacific Ocean virtually. It's amazing to me what they're doing. Educators, you let them put their hands in on anything, and this is what you end up with. And I just think it's so condescending to us as viewers, as fans. That Texas, Oklahoma, so they both go to the SEC. But like you said, they were in the Southwest Conference. How could they be in the Southeast Conference now? The schools didn't move. It's just like you said. I'm not in favor of these big super conferences and the old rivalries, which are dissipating now. It's a sin that we don't get to see them. Maybe we get to see USC and Notre Dame again, but otherwise, for the most part, I'm with you. I'm not happy with it at all. And we have to play it out. They put numbers on these games, and we'll have a side. That's for sure.
You said something, and I immediately thought about streaming and watching these things because like the NFL is like, oh, you need Peacock, you need the Peacock channel, you need Amazon Prime, you need Apple for. This is the same kind of nonsense. It's we're taking these games off of CBS and it's only available on this network, and I don't know.
So you're lucky out here with the sports books because they have everything.
You just go plop down in a sports book somewhere. Thank goodness it's legal in half the country now because that's really the only way if you want to watch a bunch of games. Go there and buy a seat for $50 and hang out the whole day.
Yep. Well, you can watch 10, 12 games at a time, really.
Doug, we talked – he mentioned Cal and Stanford going to the ACC. Cal's a program, and I like the coach, but what are they doing out there? Do they even want to play football? Stanford probably likes it because they think of themselves as like an Ivy League West Coast team, so they probably fit in there with the Dukes and those kind of schools. But are they thinking, hey, we're too good to go to the Mountain West, or you know what, let's go back to the Pac-2 with Oregon State and Washington State, and or you know what, fine, get rid of the Pac-12. But again, if Stanford thinks are they elitist to go into the Mountain West? The Mountain West has solid teams. Go into the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah, but they don't get the coverage and they don't get the revenue that these other conferences do. Not at all. No matter how good they may be. That's why they've had problems with the BYU leaving and Boise State and the.
All right, then why did the Mountain West swallow into the Pac-12 and call it the Pac-12 and they'd have the Pac-12 network again?
Well, the Pac-12 was probably snobs, and they didn't want any part of the Mountain West previously. Now, I mean, like you said, you got the Pac-2, qualifying for the Rose Bowl. I don't know.
I agree with what you say there, and I'm going to say it's probably the USC's and Oregon probably forcing their hand because they want to get paid more money, though. Yep. Doug, you're an Arizona guy now in Big 12 country, Arizona State, right? With Colorado and Utah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, you heard me. Shit, I could go on. I don't even need you guys. I could just talk about this all day with these conferences. But I know I'm taking a minute with this. I'm just flabbergasted with Cal Stanford in the ACC.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Well, don't forget SMU's in there too. I mean, you live in Texas. SMU is in the ACC, so there's another one. Well, I
forgot about SMU because they're not on the West Coast, but they're 3 hours away, 4 hour flight away from the East Coast.
Yeah, so I mean, it made about as much sense as West Virginia in the Big 12, which was really the first one, to really do it. To me, I mean, I'm with you guys on the sense that it makes no sense for this to happen, but when money is involved, nothing makes sense. Okay. And especially when you can make millions and millions of dollars and you say, well, what's, with this, have to have all these different networks. Well, that's how they make their money. It's as simple as that. So they're getting all this money. Here's a few thoughts though, on some unintended consequences. Okay. So you have an 18, 17, 16 team leagues, and in their wisdom, they said, we're just going to have it be one league, no divisions. Okay, so you come to November, you started your conference. Let's just say you started at 1-3. You're maybe a favorite, or among the favorites. You're 0-3 or 1-3 and or 0-4. Well, guess what? Where's the interest? Okay, you have a shot now at finishing 16th. Okay, not just last, now 16 to 18. So when you have that, who's going to go to those games? Okay, sure, some fans are going to go, and then you're going to end up, Rutgers. Let's say Rutgers is one of those teams, and they're going to play, or Oregon or even Washington. Washington's likely to be down this year. Washington's going to come to Rutgers. Who cares? Okay, I mean, you live there, Sean. I mean, in that general area, no one's going to care about that stuff. And so what happens then? Well, now some of these teams fall out of these races quickly. Well, then what are the players going to do? Okay, well, you're going to have a group of players on these teams, which is going to be a lot of different teams, by the way, and they're going to start looking to transfer. And in fact, they might even pull out before the season is over. So when you start thinking about those types of things, there's a lot of things, that are likely to happen that are not even being talked about yet. And they will come true, eventually. I mean, first of all, there's no reason why you can't. You have these 18 teams. Why not have two divisions? You can just split them up, okay? And you know what? Nobody is going to play all division games. It's an impossible task to do. So literally, I'm not saying this will happen, but to me, it makes sense. If you want the balance, okay, of the divisions, change them up every year, okay? Why not balance?
And what? Excuse me, Doug. You know what doesn't make sense to me either is that if you have these one league, no two divisions, no playoffs. There's no playoff game. You mean they're giving up that big money to have?
There's still going to be a conference championship. It's just going to be 1 and 2.
Maybe 1 and 2.
It's just watered down.
Yeah, that's all. But I mean, it's just so. I mean, so again, like I said, I mean, 7 with no divisions. Roughly 80% of the teams are going to be eliminated probably early November. Okay, with that thought process. So there's just going to be a few schools that are going to be involved in that. So it's a stupid decision to do that, and it's so easy to fix, and it's because they want the revenue of the conference championship game, which is even more meaningless than what it was before, because the only
division win.
Yeah, maybe it might have something to do with seeding, for the playoff, for the 12-team playoff, but not necessarily either. So yeah,
it'll make a difference to Georgia, who's number one, and whoever the number 2 team is. They have to win because they want that easier
right.
Right. That's what matters. Nobody else. Everyone's like, who cares? We're playing. And you mentioned scheduling. Yeah, well, they're still going to schedule cupcakes, right? I mean, if you're at least the SEC has 16, and they have a set thing. They put a cupcake in the beginning. They put a cupcake before a rivalry game. Two non-conference games. How do you justify when you're in the ACC with 17, 18 teams, or the Big Ten, or you have 18 and 19 teams in these things? Why do you have a non-con? You should play every team. That's all you should be playing. You should be playing 9 games. You should be playing 12 conference games. You have 12 games in there. You have 12 teams. You can play them all.
The SEC is still only playing 8 conference games.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. I mean, so that they continue to do that because it's so difficult. Okay. So that's why they can only play 8. But they're also on record as saying, well, if you want us to play 9, we will. Just cough up the money. So, I mean, and that's on record. I mean, the commissioner said that. So it's just, that's the way the sport is being driven today. And just one of those things, if you don't like it, then don't watch it. But I mean, to the fact of the matter, we choose to do this, and we have to play along with it. There's going to be, in my opinion, let's just say some more bad football that we'll see, because we'll see teams, like Cal and Stanford. I mean, Stanford's going to the ACC, and they're predicted to be the worst team in the ACC. Okay, right.
I like it. I kind of like the new coach, and but
again, that can play out.
You're just in a terrible spot. Like, hey, now got to go. How do you sell guys? Hey, we're flying cross country 4 times this year. Yeah, that's really great for your team.
Well, see, that's the other thing too, and just now to maybe change the topics slightly here, is that I think scheduling first of all, what your schedule is, and then how it's set up. I think that's very important from a betting standpoint that everybody should pay even more attention to. I've never been a big scheduling guy in college or pro, because situations change. But I think going forward, I think there might be something more to it, because of the travel aspect for certain teams that's going to come into play.
I mean, this is just Cal off the top here. They're home, Cal Davis at Auburn, which it's only halfway there. Home versus San Diego State, at Florida State, home versus Miami, at Pittsburgh, home NC State, home Oregon State, at Wake Forest, and then home and home. But like that middle, you're back and forth, home in San Diego, Florida State road, Miami, at Pitt. I mean, that's all in the same.
Right.
I don't think there's a bye week in there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know I don't know exactly, but yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's my basic
point. Because you can't say, hey, we're gonna fly a team out because the East Coast teams. I guess they could have those back-to-back in California, because they could stay for a week and just stay at a hotel. But now when you got to go to the other side and play 7 or 8 games over there, how are you staying over there for a month? Will you stay there for a month?
Yeah, well, that's. I mean, first of all, it's prohibitive, the cost of that. No matter how you do it. I mean, NFL teams can afford to do that because of the money that they're making. College teams cannot.
No,
okay? They cannot. They can't have 75 guys. With 70, everybody has to bring their computer to try and go to class.
Yeah.
And do those. I mean, it's not feasible.
At least in college basketball, there's 14 guys going to Utah for Utah State, Oregon State. Like they always have the double dip or going to Arizona. Right. Like those are easy to do. That's pretty. A football team traveling's on a 737.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not going on a bus ride somewhere. You got a whole lot of stuff you're bringing.
And then the other thing too that you're going to run into is, like you mentioned, Cal and Florida State. Well, Florida State is going to be a nationally ranked team. Cal is not going to be a big factor necessarily in ACC. So what time are they going to play that game? Well, they're going to play it at noon Eastern. Okay, yeah. It's going to be 9 o'clock Pacific time, and you get a couple of those games in the course of a year. I mean, that's rough. So that's something, I mean, we always look for the west to east games, for some teams on those situations. Well, I think you're going to see a plethora of those games going forward, just in general, between the Big 12 and I'm sorry, not the Big 12, the ACC, and then also the Big 10.
Well, I mean, you could mention Big 12. We're probably Big 10 because you got the West Coast teams going to play noon games now in Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, Rutgers. I mean, that's a fun trip. Hey, let's go. We're going from Oregon to Rutgers. We're going to go down, play, what are we doing here in Brunswick? That's great. Listen, as a Rutgers guy, as a Jersey guy, I want them to be good. I like Shiano. I think they'll be improved. But that is just a terrible trip for them. Hey, we got to fly. That's not helpful. I mean, it almost goes back to college basketball where the Big East kind of split up, and Syracuse goes down to the ACC, and Louisville's in the Big East, and that kind of like opened the door for these other leagues, or more specifically college football. Like, oh, you know what? Maybe they're on the right move here. Then we saw the college football kind of go that way with the American Athletic, with Connecticut playing down there in basketball. It's like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And, real fast, you mentioned the portals. Terrible. The college portals, can it just be after the season like something normal? You could change the dates. You could expand it a little bit here, right? I mean, this is like NFL where coaches, we can't interview a coach till after the Super Bowl, and push the draft back to May. It's not a big deal. Like, you could push it back a little bit for coaches to get jobs. You could push back a transfer portal, kids in and out. We see it in the Bulls the last couple of years. It's terrible. It's a terrible product.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I want to make a comment about teams transferring into different conferences. It was pretty rare previously, and I was surprised a number of times when a team like, say, Houston in football would be competitive when they move into the new conference. It was like they had already prepared for the move. Now, with so many teams moving, I don't think we're going to have as good a gauge as handicappers as to which schools have adjusted and have improved, and which teams are just going to fall by the wayside. That was one of my first thoughts, is that previously when schools transferred conferences, they would really like to make a good showing. And now there's just so many of them. I mean, who's going to do what now? It's that was one of my thoughts about all these schools transferring. Yeah. And now you're on the NIL. We've got Gabriel. I mean, Dylan Gabriel played with Central Florida, Oklahoma, and now he's at Oregon. And you had that quarterback from Clemson. I can't even think about pronouncing his DJ something. He was terrible at Clemson. He went to Oregon last year, and now he's going to Florida State. Some of these guys can develop and can get better. But
who's the guy on Rice last year? I had a Rice over ticket because of him, because he was at West Virginia. I think USC first, and like Slovis for Pitt, right? He was at like 5 schools.
Well,
and it's amazing to me. It really is that, it used to be that you transferred, you had to sit out a year because you were transferring academically, and they wanted to make sure that you weren't doing anything nefarious on the sports field.
I never liked that. Clubs. If the coaches could take a job and play the coach next year, the player should be able to go. It's not his fault to coach. Listen, I came here for the coach. It's just what it is. How don't you let the kid sit out and lose a whole year, especially if you're an elite player? That could be your pro career right there.
Yep.
I have a question for both of you guys. I mentioned the transfer portal. How much, from a handicapping standpoint, do you guys put into things that go on with the transfer portal?
Go ahead, Chip.
Well, I personally haven't thought about it that much. I'm more of a line reader, and I look for anomalies or for things that are saying this is an indication that this team's ready to play or this team's not ready to play. Otherwise, I think this makes it so much more difficult. You realize Colorado has 34 NILs coming in, and Texas A&M has 18, and Mississippi has 18, and that's a huge load of players coming in that it's going to totally change the dynamics of a team, and whether they're going to be successful or not still remains to be seen.
I'm gonna piggyback on what you're saying about Colorado, because I'm going to talk about them for a second as a little pick here for us. But with the portal kind of stuff and the transferring here and there, I'm like Chip. I look at the number. There is way too many players to even know what the heck's going on. You can read all the magazines you want to read and try to get involved, unless you're going to just zone in one conference, which is now 20 deep in most cases. You're really going to be boggled down with that kind of information. Yeah. You got to kind of just go off of, all right, who's the coach? I'm more of a coach guy. He's been there for a while. Does he have his guys? Even bringing a transfer guy in, at least it's his kind of program. Is it a steady kind of ship program? Like a team like Georgia bringing in a couple guys, I don't think it's going to rock the boat if they bring in some guys. Like Texas, that's fine. A&M, a new coach. We've seen him. He was good at Duke. He was good as a coordinator. They have talent. I don't really think they're going to have a problem. Colorado on the hand, it's good.
No, I'm sorry. Is it true that Gundy put to bring more recruits into Oklahoma State that he actually established and they have a bar set up in the locker room? I'm just wondering.
Does he?
No, I'm in agreement with you guys on that. I mean, there's with the transfer portal. I mean, it's really no different than when guys used to transfer before. Now there's just so many more.
Exactly.
But, I mean, and also when there were junior college transfers, that's another one that kind of comes into play here. You know, just because a guy was highly rated there doesn't mean it's going to work. You know, and we've seen that with some quarterbacks in particular. Some have worked really well, some haven't hardly worked at all. So, I mean, so the portal to me from a handicapping standpoint is a little bit overrated, but I think you do have to know who, like, for example, the top 5 or top 10 teams, along with the bottom 5 and 10 that, you know, either bring in a number of players or do not. So at least be aware. So if, for example, if Mississippi really gets off to a great start and they look very cohesive from the start, well, it looks like they have a good chance for it to work, you know, for what Lane Kiffin's trying to do.
Well, we saw like Colorado failing out last year, like bringing a bunch of guys. It works for a little while and then it falls apart. And I want to make one last thing before I jump into a little Colorado pick here. You talk about teams moving conferences, like the SEC kind of doesn't want a lot of teams, but you're bringing Texas and Oklahoma. Are they thinking, well, we had A&M in here. How good are they? We know we could beat our teams. Could beat these kind of teams. Yeah. Where I think a conference like the Big Ten with Ohio State and Penn State, and Michigan, I think they're going to have some losses now. Like Oregon, I think could kind of play on that kind of level. USC obviously gets the talent. Can they change that into wins? I don't know because that coach is a Big 12 kind of guy. We'll see how he performs. But like for them, Penn State, that whole crew, I think you'll see a bunch of 9-3 teams out of there. Like I know I'm a schedule looker. Like you have your toughest games at home or on the road. Like that's big. And you know, you're playing Michigan in Ohio State. I'm thinking Ohio State's winning that this year, not only because you don't have your head coach anymore in Michigan, but just those are the kind of spots you look at for me at least.
Yeah.
For especially in these newer things, like how are they going to respond going out to play in Oregon? I don't know how you're going to do play in Oregon. I mean, this isn't Indiana. You're not playing Northwestern or Rutgers or Maryland. This is, you know, USC and even, you know, UCLA to a lesser degree. It's not a cupcake kind of joint. I don't know. What do you think about them taking better? I won't say better teams, but you know, you have your bottom kind of.
Where's Ratner playing?
Who's that? Chip.
What'd you say?
Chip? Where's Ratner playing? He's been with 4 different teams already.
Is he still in South Carolina, or Rattler?
He
got drafted. He got drafted.
I thought he graduated.
He got drafted. I don't know. I've been there for 7 years. Like I said, I was going to jump in to do Colorado because we talked about the transfer portal for them getting 30-something guys. Let's just Deion Sanders. You can't knock the guy for being an awesome recruiter, right? Guys want to come play for him. He's charismatic, gets people, awesome NFL player. But like for this team, again, like last year, the hype, we're all over Fox Sports, we're on ESPN. It's like the Deion. He's like the LeBron of college football. They just have to hype this whole crew up here. This team is bad. They were bad last year. They're going to be bad this year. Their win total is 5.5. I'm looking. I'm like, how do they win 3 games? Like they're at Nebraska, at Arizona, at Texas Tech. I think they lose all those games. I don't think they've been. They're not winning on the road. Their defense is atrocious. It's not any better.
Improved.
Nebraska's better. And again, I got a head coach in Nebraska that should have beat them last year. They fumbled the ball 5 times or whatever on like consecutive possessions, though, Chip. I mean, come on. Yeah. Nebraska's a better team than Colorado. You're telling me you like Colorado going on the road and win games with that defense? That defense is not improved. No, Utah, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State all at home. They're not beating any of those teams. Those teams are all ranked or borderline ranked good teams. With better coaching. He could bring in NFL guys on this roster, and he might have a couple in his son and Hunter. That doesn't mean you know how to coach. Like the assistants is, if he had great assistants and line coaches, it'd be a juggernaut. Let's be honest. He thought he'd come in here with a couple good 5-star recruits and think he could run roughshod through the Pac-12. Is that a joke? I mean, like, the other teams have been doing it for 10 years, building programs.
It was all their quarterback.
So they have 12 games. I don't think I just ran off 7. I don't think they have a snowball's chance in hell winning. Then they're at Colorado State, which I almost saw them lose to Colorado State at home. So yeah, you are a team Super Bowl when it's in your backyard, Deion. So Colorado State, I don't think you win that game. I don't even know if you cover against North Dakota State in week 1. I want to take North Dakota State in week. Really?
That's the most win, by the way, of week 1 so far.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, why wouldn't it be? Because you got a guy who's in here talking with my Louis luggage and this and that. We're going to go there. You don't think he's overlooking a bunch of clowns from North Dakota State? Like, he looks at this program as, who is this team? It's like Hickory in Hoosiers. They don't think they belong on the same field. The North Dakota State's going to smack these guys around like school children, like high school kids versus an elementary school. I don't even think they win that game. They're definitely not covering.
What's the price on that game?
I didn't even see a line yet because it's a smaller. That'll be an added game. That's not up yet. I mean, I'm taking anything. I want to say it'd probably be Colorado by like 4-7. Although I don't know. I don't really get into grading the small colleges. I know people do that and get in the FCS or FB. I don't even know what it's called. FBS. I don't know what level that is. FCS. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati's going to be bad. All right, maybe beat Cincinnati at home. At UCF, I like UCF. I think they've been trying to get better, and we've seen them beat elite kind of teams over the years. So I think they have the talent to beat that team. So I don't know. And Baylor probably not that good. Or maybe they're equals. Where are they getting 6 wins? They're not getting 6 wins. That's my prediction. Put it up. Where do I have is there a banner made? Seth, did we do a banner? I don't even know. I got to scroll through 900. Wow, we got a whole lot of banners in here. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I'm going under Colorado 5.5, and I'm taking them in it's right here, scrolling. I don't even see it. I'm too busy looking at my shiny head, Seth, on my new 2K camera. Anyway, so that's my thought on that. I don't know your guys' opinions on the Buffaloes.
I don't have anything strong on Colorado. I mean, they do have a really good quarterback. So, I mean, that gives you a chance. I can see, some of the home games that you mentioned. I can see 1, maybe 2, that they could one they could possibly win based on circumstance, covering maybe another, but yeah, I'm not high on Colorado either necessarily. Chip, what are your thoughts on that?
I'll tell you the truth. I have, I feel like it's July 4th, and I just, did a little of my scanning of the college football books, and I'm evaluating it now. I just think it's a little too early for me to be high on one team or so against another team. I mean, they haven't even gone out for for fall practice yet. So, I have to sit and wait, and I don't want to box myself in where I'm sitting here saying, "Oh, I got this team." Then all of a sudden, they don't pan out. And there I am stuck with all these comments about something I really didn't know that much about to start with.
That's fine. Yeah. That's why we're doing this July 18th. But I'm going to come in strong and be like, screw Buffalo, bro. They're not a good team. I said it last year. I'll say it again this year. So I don't care. I'm throwing out the hot takes. And I know the comment section, we get them when we started last year with college football. Boy, they come out. The fan bases. We're not doing an SEC team today. I don't know. Well, I will see, because I know you have a conference underdog you like, Doug, but
yes, I do.
I can't wait for the comments when we start doing the real college football coming up in a couple weeks.
Yes, well, we're talking about guys that have played for a long time. Well, how about Alan Bowman at Oklahoma State? He's in his 7th year, coming up here. And so he's the starting quarterback for Oklahoma State. He had a pretty decent year, played pretty well, especially when he came in and they turned their season around. But he doesn't protect the ball well. He had 14 interceptions last year. But Oklahoma State brings back 20 starters from last year, added some other pieces. Their offense, I still think, will be very good. Their offensive line will be as good as what you'll find in the Big 12 this year. Ollie Gordon, the second, very, very good running back, really potential first team All-American type player. I think the defense will be dramatically better compared to last year. They're picked 3rd. Their odds are plus 750 right now. Sean mentioned about liking Utah and stuff like that. And I got nothing against Utah. I just like this Oklahoma State team just in general. I've always liked Gundy as a coach. maybe not some of his personal views on things, but otherwise, I think he does a really good job. And you talk about scheduling. Now, Oklahoma State does have a couple tough games, but they do get Utah at home. Okay, I think it's I thought it was the last week of September. I'm not 100% sure on that. It's right. It's one of their first four games. I do know that. So I'm going to take Oklahoma State plus 750 to win the Big 12 championship.
Oh man, I'm a Utah back.
I know Utah.
I love the coach. He's a fighter. The team always responds. They play defense. And again, that's a program to me that just always seems to just, even last year, had a lot of quarterback issues, but it's just a program that's kind of set in its ways.
It's stable. Oh, I mean, it's what
stable. Good word for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the reasons that I'm not as big a fan with Utah is that a lot of times when they play teams that have more speed, which is fairly frequently, they do struggle a little bit with that.
Yeah, they're definitely a hitting team as opposed to a running team there.
Yes. Yep.
I want to see because I thought I saw Oklahoma Oklahoma State, I should say, as a team at like the top of the Big 12. Like people are high on them. Like they're 750 looks like a good number because I've heard other people talk about them being a contender there with Utah.
Yeah. I mean,
K-State,
it's Utah, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State in terms of the odds. Those are the top three odds of the Big 12.
Yeah, and again, you're getting it a plus 750, and again, the team I like, I got a quarterback coming off a year injury, so you don't know.
Yeah, no, I
like the look. I like the look there.
I actually looking forward to that league probably as much as any, to tell you the truth, because there's more uncertainty with the amount of change, especially with Texas and Oklahoma out of there. And so it adds a little bit more intrigue in adding the what they refer to out here, that get the four teams from the four corners joining the league. So we'll see what happens, and it should that one, like I say, kind of. And of course, I'm always big on the Sun Belt. I'm a longtime Sun Belt fan, and I like how they play. Just the brand of football, and good coaching, generally speaking, the guys that stick around a little bit longer. So I like that too.
All right, so. Again, this is just it's All-Star Week. All right, folks, we're going to do, Chip and Matt, me tomorrow, do some baseball. Today, a little appetizer, talk some college football, because it's going to be here before you know it. All right, and probably in another week or two, well, I have to ask Chip. He's obviously not ready to do some college football yet, so I'm in August yet. Well, I'm guessing in August we'll come in. Go ahead.
I'm wondering when Oklahoma State last won the conference championship.
I don't. They played for it last year, but I think they won. Well, let's see here. I'm trying to think of the name of the quarterback. The guy was at Pittsburgh most recently. Last year he played. The quarterback for Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oklahoma State won the conconference championship. I mean, I don't even think they won when they had Barry Sanders.
I thought they were 12-1 that year, and they went to the Cotton Bowl. I can't. Who was the quarterback that came in last year? I can't think of his name. For the Steelers last year, he came in the season.
Kenny Pickett?
No.
Mason Rudolph.
Yes, there you go. Mason Rudolph. I believe that was the last time they won the conference championship.
Let's see.
I don't.
Oklahoma State last one. Where's the list here? Here we go. 1990.
So, Chip, are you saying
2013?
2013. Okay. So, Chip, so you're saying you don't like Oklahoma State, or what?
No, it just I just seem to have bitter memories of playing Oklahoma State against Oklahoma or Oklahoma State in the big game, and then for them falling short all the time when there's been all this hype. And I know Gundy's done a great job there, and it's not easy when you have to compete with Oklahoma and Texas. I mean, let's face it, and they're going after the same players. But Oklahoma State's done a great job, but I really can't remember them winning the conference championship in recent years. I don't remember.
I'm wrong. It was 2013. I know Gundy was there, and I got thinking of a different quarterback from that team, but I know they have won. They had a couple of nice 10-2 teams over the years, but like you said, they're not. I mean, they weren't at the same level as Oklahoma.
Unless you had the season win total, they probably covered some games for you. Because you're probably on overs because everybody in the Big 12 was scoring like 45 points a game back in the day. I mean,
yes.
It is what it was back then. It was like craziness, Yeah, it's like, oh, they're going to score 47 a game. I don't know how they're going to score 47 a game. They got a running back who rushes for 170 yards a game. It's going to slow down the clock. No, it doesn't slow down the clock.
No.
Reels off 50, and then a guy throws a 27-yard touchdown pass in 2 minutes and 42 seconds.
Yep. So that's how it works.
All right. So we'll wrap this up. 40 minutes of college football. People are like, man, college football, right? It's almost here. Hall of Fame game is 2 weeks away. Texans and Bears in the Hall of Fame game. Craziness. Listen, hit the like, subscribe button here. That's number one. I'd like to see 15,000 by December. If it's a miracle we get there by September, that'll be great. That'll be awesome if we get there. But I'm not what's the word I'm looking for? Optimistic to get that many with random Major League Baseball in August. I'll be happy. Actually, probably by October, because we're going to have a bunch of free pick winners here anyway with college football and NFL and in another less than a month now, basically, away with college football. Crazy. Anyway, Doug is over at Doc Sports. Chipper, myself, and 9 other guys at gamblersworld.net. I know we didn't really hype on the gamblersworld.net site, but you can find all our premium stuff there. The 3-7 30-day passes are guaranteed, which means that if we don't show a profit, we refund you, and then you get a credit, I should say. It's not a refund, it's a credit, and you can find another capper who's on a better run for you. Tomorrow, me, Chip, and Doug do Major League Baseball.
Matt. It's Matt.
Matt. I'm sorry. Yes, it is Matt Fargo.
We'll do it Monday, though.
Monday, me, Chip, and Doug for Monday. Not on Tuesday, though, for Mr. Doug. That's a me, Chipper, and Matt show.
No, Tuesday I'm out as well.
Tuesdays, look at this. Let's live on the air. You're going to find out the schedule. We'll work it out.
I already sent the notice to you guys that I was.
I'm going to come in with a little sock puppet. I'll have El Sacco in my hand. I'll have that. And it'll be for Chip. I'll have a random fact of the day for Major League Baseball that happened in 1974 or something. Who knows?
Are you trying to say my picks stink like a sock? An old sock?
No, I just need a little puppet or something. I don't know if we got to see. It's summertime. It's tough, guys. It's really kind of like not a rest time, but it's not NFL and college football where you're like just to the wall with everything. It's kind of like, all right, it's little baseball. I can pick and choose spots, as the teams get better and teams start trading guys away, these lines are going to get inflated. And me personally, we're seeing these huge spreads. I'm not going to be jumping up for joy to jump into games like that. But going forward, we'll have our previews for conferences, win totals, maybe some random head-to-head matchups that are going to last out a little while. So again, hit the like button, subscribe. We're all on Twitter. We got Twitter for Gamblers World, Winner Circle here. There's the packages from our guy Seth in the background. I was trying to do the banners at the same time, but I got to learn where they all are. So definitely a choppy show for 40 minutes today. But listen, I like the under Colorado Buffalo's 5.5. I'll stand by it. Chip's not ready to do. I am. I don't care. I'm ready to start Twitter wars here in the comment section. Doug is like an Oklahoma State to win the Big 12 at plus 750. I don't hate it. It's worth it. 750 is worth a nice little shot here, folks. I don't think going forward you're going to get a lot of picks here that are going to be like minus 130 on the overall favorite to win a conference. I know it's not going to get that from me. But for Chip, Doug, and myself, happy Thursday to you. Action is back tomorrow with me, Matt Fargo, and Chip Chirimbes with Major League Baseball. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you later. Bye-bye.